Hey, hello, hello, hello. What's going on, everybody? How we doing? How we doing? We doing okay? Hello, hello, hello. What is going on? What is going on? All right. All right, all right, all right. How are we all doing? Did I finish season 2? Yeah, yeah. I did finish season 2. I am gonna save. I can give a few thoughts here, but I'm gonna save the majority of my thoughts for tomorrow's video. So, because we got the full. That's why I did the whole review, right? So, finished season 2 yesterday. Took notes all the way along the way. Yeah, I've got I've got I've got a lot of thoughts on season 2. It's complicated. It's complicated. I think I'm gonna wait till tomorrow to get really in depth into it. I'm just gonna wait till tomorrow to get really in depth into it. But the long and short, I still like the show. Still find it fun, enjoyable. Yeah, I still like the show, for sure. And my reaction to episode 1 of the show, that was by far the worst. Episode 1 of the last season. I'll speak a little freely here, but not in a constructed manner. All right, so you'll get my full thoughts tomorrow. I'll just say that you guys saw my reaction last stream to episode 1 of the live action. That was, I think the Loketown episode was the worst episode of the entire, like, both season 1 and season 2. So I'd say that I think that season 2 has both the worst episode of the entire show and the best episode of the entire show. So, it's got strengths and weaknesses. And there are a lot of things that I really, really enjoyed. And then, of course, some areas that I thought that I mean, obviously things can always be better, but there were some areas where I was like, wait, why is this still not better? Um, it's the review is probably a bit more, I'd say, critical than season one's review, because season one's review, but the review still has the positives and the negatives, and I want to be very clear, I do legit still like the show. Like, I'm being very real when I say that season 1 I have seen at this point 4 times. Like, and no one's forcing me to watch it. I like watching. I've liked watching season 1. When I watched season 1 for the first time by myself, I was just like, uh, like a kid in a candy shop. I was like, holy shit, this is happening. This is real, and I'm actually having fun watching. Right. Then I watched it again with my group of friends. A lot of them had never tried One Piece before, so them getting to see that was cool. And then I watched it with my family again, and then I watched it with my girlfriend again. So I watched it 4 times over the course of probably a year, and I enjoyed it each time. So I like the show. With season 2, there was some. It was just I was hoping that we would polish up some things that I think weren't polished up, which is why season two's review is probably going to be a little bit more critical, just because the novelty of the whole experience is now worn off. So it's no longer. I'm no longer talking up like, holy shit, they casted Luffy really well. Good job. Some of that is gone. Although I do still give props to all of the Strats and the actors in the review. Anyway. Ender says, more drinking that espresso 1 drop at a time. So I realized something. So I used to have 3 espressos a day, and these are actually doubles. These are the bigger, it's an espresso, so I think there's 2 buttons you can press on the machines, the little button and the big button. So these are all, I think they're double shots. I'm not sure. They're just the big shots. I don't know what to call. Anyway, so I used to drink 3 espressos a day. Morge, why do you look depressed? Why do I look depressed while I'm drinking this espresso? So the full thing is, I stayed up. I went to sleep at 3:45 a.m. last night because finished season 2, then had to write the review. That took me like a long time. I did some poor time management because as I was reviewing every episode, as I was watching every episode, I was taking notes and stuff. So I was like, I'll have so much time on Thursday. Like, I'll be able to knock out the review like that because I got all these notes. But when you've got a lot of notes, it actually makes it harder to compile them all into one thing, and then you got to cut, and things have to hit the cutting room floor. So tomorrow's video is going to be longer than usual, right? I think my guess is somewhere 30 to 40 minutes. I'm not sure. It'll be a longer video than usual, and it just the whole process took me a very long time. And also, I'll say that's the main thing, right? So that whole thing took me a very long time. So I slept at 3:45 a.m., then woke up this morning, had other work stuff that I had to do. I just woke up from a nap, so I'm sorry if I'm looking depressed, but I feel well rested. I actually got enough sleep now, but that's because I slept for, I think, the last 3 hours, so I'm good now. So I got my espresso. Anyway, I used to drink 3, I don't know if they're called double shots, 3 big shots a day, and then I started, and it would all be in the span of a few hours. So, like, it wouldn't be uncommon that I start drinking an espresso at like 3 p.m. and then I'm having my third one by like 4:30 p.m. Because they're so small, so like they go by really fast, you know. They're espressos, right? So they go by really fast, and then like I think I noticed at a certain point that that's actually bad for my productivity and my general well-being because once I'm having so much caffeine in a short period of time, it actually makes me like a little bit on edge and less focused. So now I've figured it out finally. I was like, why am I always like why is it that like 4:30 rolls around and I'm like feeling like I don't know, stressed or like too I can't focus well, and I was like, maybe it's just because that's towards the end of the workday, and then eventually I clocked that it's probably because I drink too much caffeine. So now I'm actually trying to space out the coffee better. Avery Hill, hey Morge, caught your stream the other day and just gotta say, as a Kagurabachi recommender, it feels so good to see you enjoy the series. The next arc is shaping up to be amazing. I'm really excited. I'm telling you guys right now, legitimately, some people say like, this is the perfect time to catch up. This is the perfect time to catch up. This is genuinely the perfect time to catch up on Kagurabachi. No exaggeration. Like, the author could not have more clearly marked a time in the story where it's like, all right, we've set up a lot of things. We've completed one big movement in the story. Now is a good time for people to catch up. Empty Mind, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 7 months. First, let me say that if you are not a Pirate King tier member, the Pirate King podcast for this month just came out. This was a fun one. If you're a Kagurabachi fan, there's actually, funnily enough, multiple Kagurabachi questions that came up in that one. It's still obviously mostly One Piece and other stuff everyone knows. We got some Kagurabachi questions, Hunter x Hunter questions, stuff like that. The podcast just came out. Definitely go check that out. For those of you who don't know, the Pirate King podcast is my podcast for top tier of YouTube members and patrons. Get a bunch of questions. Everybody's able to submit a question, and I answer everybody's question in great detail. And as such, the podcasts always end up being about an hour and a half long. So definitely go check this one out. Thanks for the support, Empty Mind. And you get access to all previous podcasts. What do you think will be Oda's plan with Uruge? Oh my God. How strong do you think Roger era Shanks and Teach were? Roger era Shanks and Teach, like when Roger was alive? Didn't they suck? I thought that was a big point. Let me think. Let me think. So first of all, what do I think is Oda's plan with Uruge? I'm gonna be so honest. I don't fucking like. I really. I'd say this. So I had this thought for a little bit, and I was thinking that maybe that this could be the case, which is. But now I'm doubting whether or not Kid will come back. I thought that it's possible that if Kid makes a return, considering he and Law's current situations, that there could be a sort of cross-guild-esque alliance that is formed. Okay, so a cross-guild-esque alliance could be made, all right? But for, Kid and Law, like, they've already worked together, obviously, at Wano, so I wonder if that was Oda just giving us a little preview of the future. So with Kid and Law potentially being used to form an alliance, then I don't know what Uruge's immediate use would be, but I thought that it's possible that if Uruge returns to the story, that Oda could have Uruge be incorporated as part of the Kid and Law alliance, because Uruge is to date the only supernova that Oda has yet to... The only supernova that Oda has yet to, sort of, I don't know what the word is. Like, basically Oda made it clear that, Hawkins, Apu, they just don't cut it past a certain point. But it was interesting when we hit Hokage Island and it was established that, Uruge actually took out a Sweet Commander, right? And Uruge has probably continued to get stronger. So it feels like Oda does have plans for Uruge. It's possible that, Kid, Law, Killer, obviously, throw in Uruge there. Like, honestly, if you've got Kid, Law, Uruge, Killer, that right there, you could, if you squint, it's like a Yonko crew. If you squint, if you're really drunk on a Saturday night and you squint, it's like, is that a Yonko crew over there? Is that like a Yonko caliber crew? Who are those guys? Is that Captain Kid? Is first mate Law, second commander Uruge, third commander Killer? Could that work? I think that's... obviously, none of them would accept, Kid's the captain, Law's first mate, Uruge is second. None of them would accept that, right? It would be more of a cross-guild-esque alliance. But I'm just saying in terms of, setup, kind of like how we look at cross-guild, we're like, well, Mihawk's obviously their Yonko figure. And then Crocodile, he probably counts as, first mate. Not in terms of command hierarchy, but in terms of military power, right? So, and Beppo, you're like, is that a fucking Toby Ropo level character over there? That the fucking polar bear? Yeah, if you really squint. Basically, if they got stronger, if Kid gets some improvements, right? So this is what I used to think. But in the last, 5-10 chapters, the whole Kid agenda, I think, has really fallen apart. In my opinion. I just don't know what would he do? What's his purpose? Let's get stream likes up to 50 real quick. Joseph eBay, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 17 months, man. I hope you enjoyed the Pirate King podcast that just came out. Yo, Morge, are you going to go search for the secret of One Piece at the bottom of the ocean? Also, you see Bam's 83. Oh, my God. Don't get me started on Bam's 83. It's just I cannot believe that people are celebrating that. I think it's such a joke. I think people are like, why don't we... Okay, first let me address the first part of your question, which is, am I going to search for the secret of the One Piece at the bottom of the ocean? No. Leave that to some big YouTubers, people with crazy amounts of funds. I'm sure that Mr. Beast or Speed could get some really good videos out of that stuff, that sort of journey. So Bam's 83, I want to keep the basketball talk short. This came up obviously in, I think, last time's stream. I think literally I was streaming last time and then Bam dropped 83. And I think that's when it happened and I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, I think it's just... celebrating it is just so stupid because it's I feel like people should feel at a certain point, why is interest in the NBA in a rough spot right now? And there's so many things that you can point to, right? And this is just another example of that. Like, scoring has become so cheap because the league has tried to facilitate that. And then tanking has become so ridiculous and stuff like that. So it's like, why aren't we all celebrating the fact that, like, Bam Adebayo got this crazy record, like 83 points? It's like, no, like, the fact that this is something that used to mean something, that, like, you can't tell people to be excited about it, right? The fact that people were really excited when Kobe scored 81 was reflective of the fact that everybody felt like, holy shit, this is a real achievement, right? The fact that a player of Bam Adebayo's caliber, which, no disrespect, he's an all-star, but he's not he's not like a legendary player. He's not even like a Hall of Famer. He's never even been like a first team type player in the NBA. The fact that a random player can basically just score 83 points today with the way things have become, right? And the fact that that's now a controversial thing, like, that is an indictment on the state of the league, you know? You shouldn't have a league where, like, it was similar when, you know, like, so many players started scoring 70 points back to back to back, and it was like, why aren't we celebrating all these players? It's like, no, this stuff is cool, but it also reflects that the league has cheapened scoring and just the regular season, the way things go, to the point that you can't just make people feel the things that they're supposed to feel just because the number is big anymore, because we're all kind of recognizing that the state of things is makes it a lot less impressive than it used to be in the past. And so with Bam's 83, it's like, well, great, he scored 83, and it'll be like a funny, silly meme thing at this point, like, look how bad the Wizards were that they did this or whatever. And that's just so much sadder than back when Kobe had the 81-point game, because that was actually like an iconic, legendary performance that meant something to like a generation of fans. Like, they made commercials about it with Kobe and Jalen Rose. Like, you got famous like jokes with like LeBron, the whole LeBron claiming that he had told people that Kobe's gonna get 81 that day, and like that going viral and everything like that. Like, there's so much mythos around the 81-point game, and that sort of thing is good for the game, you know? It's not good for the game when people are just like, haha, anybody can fucking get 83 points, and in such a weird, cheesy manner, and it's just like, look, but the number's so big. Like, why aren't you guys excited? It's just as cool as that. Like, who cares that it passes up the 81 points? It's like, no, it matters for the overall quality of the product. And if people don't see that, then they don't see that. Yeah, sorry, I'm not going to get too deep into it. Wait, what the hell? Hold on. Wait, is the Parking Podcast not up yet? Time out, I'm sorry. Is the Parking Podcast not up? All right, I'm sorry about that. Okay, I just sent a message in Slack. It should be up ASAP. Sorry about that. It should be up by tomorrow morning at the very least. What the fuck? All right, that's kind of frustrating. Yeah, Parking Podcast should be up ASAP. It was recorded Wednesday night. Editor does change the audio, so there's a slight delay in turning that around, but then I think our assistant thought that she didn't need to upload it. So apologies about that. All right, continuing on. Sorry about that. It should be up tomorrow. Keenan, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 41 months. With how the live action handled Mary and Igaram, we can actually expect people like Pell and Pagaya to die and stay dead. For that alone, the One Piece live action is worth it. Yeah, Mary did die, and it looks like Igaram's actually dead. unless Oda, like, you never know if Igaram's actually dead or not. That's the tricky thing. Mild spoilers for the One Piece live action if you haven't seen it already, but yeah, there is like a death scene for Igaram, but there was a death scene for Igaram too in the original, and then he wasn't dead, so I don't know yet, you know. Dobby Grid says, if he did it in a great game, then fine. For forcing that much to get it, and now the biggest modern game is a shit watch, I think that's that. Yeah, and it also, I think this is big Kobe Bryant erasure. Like, it's cool. Like, obviously, Bam's going to go for it. Like, you're not going to not go for it if you can get it. So, I'm not blaming that. It's nobody's fault. It's just the way things are, you know? I am not a Kobe fan. Like, in the slightest. I'm not a Kobe fan. I'm not, because I never really watched him in his prime, and everything I've heard and read about him strikes me as a dislikable figure, and potentially a rapist. So I'm not a Kobe Bryant fan, right? But looking at just in terms of like NBA legacies and stuff, I think the 81-point game was something big that he had for him, that was unique to him, that represented his game and his legacy as well as, you know, anything could. You know, he's never going to be the guy with the most MVPs or the most rings, the most final MVPs or the most, you know, whatevers, but or the most points, but like, if the idea behind Kobe is like, if you just need a one-man army to just like score over and over and over again, like just 1v5, and just like be relentless and not pass and all of that, that's him. And that still meant something with 80. Like, again, there is just so much mythos around the 81-point game. It's one of the most legendary games in the modern NBA. And now it's kind of gone because nobody really cares about the second place, like the second highest scoring regular season game, you know? Lamorge is grade A bronze sexual. Hey, I've been LeBron's always going to be my favorite player, but like in my later years, I've been a bit more soured on like some of LeBron's stuff just because he's obviously no longer as good and not performing at the same level, but like more so, you know, you slowly become more aware of some of his, I don't want to say narcissistic tendencies, but like he does do a lot of like weirdly passive aggressive stuff to always keep attention on him and keep people talking about him. And I'm like, dude, you're like everybody already taught, like like 40 something, and you know, like just if you want everyone to talk about you, then play better. That's the simplest thing you can do. But he's always going to be my favorite player. And yeah, you know what? Like, I think the simple fact that Kobe and LeBron coexisted, and that was kind of LeBron's meant to be rival during his prime that never kind of came together. And there's the fact that so many Kobe fans still, like, the Kobe LeBron. So, how to explain this? I don't want to derail too much from One Piece into basketball, but the simple way I can say is like, it kind of like the LeBron, Kobe, Jordan thing. That triangle is so funny because LeBron, like LeBron fans are always trying to compete to put LeBron above Michael Jordan all-time great, okay, in the all-time great conversations, right? But the Kobe fandom exists, and it's like this zombie that's reaching up and dragging LeBron down, where like the way Kobe fans see it is that it's Jordan, then Kobe, then LeBron, all right? The way LeBron fans see it is that it's LeBron, then Jordan, then Kobe, or LeBron and Jordan about tied, right? So even Kobe fans don't think that Kobe is like better than Jordan. They think he was like almost as good as Jordan. Like, that's what makes Kobe so cool. He was like almost as good as Jordan, and then this LeBron guy's not as good as either of them. So for LeBron, it like really, like Kobe really throws a wrench in the whole works of the discussion, because like LeBron just wants to, like, LeBron fans want the discussion to be LeBron versus Jordan, right? Kobe fans, they don't even care about the Kobe versus Jordan discussion. They don't even try to have that discussion. They just want LeBron below them. So like, it would almost be better if there were Kobe fans who were like, I mean, there's a small minority. It's kind of like you can find some Sanji fans that argue Sanji's above Zoro, but most Sanji fans are going to argue that, like, no, Sanji's like really close to Zoro, or like just about there, or something like that, you know? So it'd almost be better if Kobe fans were trying to argue that, like, that like it's like Kobe 1, then Jordan 2, then LeBron 3, or something like that. Because it almost feels more respectable than like Kobe fans being like, no. Jordan's number 1. We Kobe fans, we got second place down on lock, and LeBron, you're third. And LeBron fans are like, bro, we're trying to contend for number 1. We like, why are we having to fight with you to just validate being in like the second or third place spot? You know, like it's just like, yeah, it's just. It's like, can we get like at least a different fandom in here that has the honor to try and push their guy as number 1? Kobe fans are like, no, our guy is the number 2 greatest of all time, and nothing's gonna change that. And LeBron fans are like, oh my god, like we want to be in fights with Jordan fans over who's number 1. We don't want to be in fights with Kobe fans over who's like number 2 or 3. So the whole Kobe thing just really throws things. And the Kobe argument just makes no sense. Like, you look at Kobe's arguments, like, for imagine the only argument really had for Kobe being second or third, or even top 5 all time, is just vibes. Imagine that was the argument. It's just vibes. It's this Mamba mentality, which is, by the way, a brand thing that Kobe and Nike made up. So it's like, it's not like, whatever. Anyway. Attilio, thanks for the 5. 12 chapters behind on Elbaf. Don't mind spoilers. What are your current thoughts on the past 10 chapters and what Elbaf is shaping up to be? Attilio, Elbaf is shaping up to be way bigger than the God Valley incident. So I'll say that. I think Elbaf is shaping up to be something really cool and really crazy. The scale of things that you're going to see in the next few chapters is going to blow your mind. I'll say that. I think that... Yeah, I think it's set up to be a very, very exciting storyline, but we are currently, the last chapter, like, we're probably set up for like 1 or 2 chapters between last chapter, this next chapter, of maybe things being a little bit more mild, but we are likely set up for a big, big finale. Bassam El Madawi, thanks for the 5. Hey Morge, how's it been? Have you watched the live action season 2? I feel like Luffy doesn't portray the same level of confidence that he has in the anime. How about you? I think, so the cool thing is I think Luffy doesn't have the same level of confidence as in the anime. That's true, because you need to ground it a little bit more for TV. Like, in TV, in live action, one, you generally need the characters to have more actual character conflicts over the course of a season. It's just different in TV. It's just different in live action, you know? Luffy can't always be this unflappable dude. You want to see in live action like some level of struggle. So the confidence is down a little bit for Luffy, but at the same time, I would say that compared to other TV shows with main characters and everything like that, Luffy is head and shoulders way more confident and got like just way better like reliability in terms of pulling through every time than any of those other shows. Like, I'm happy that we're getting a protagonist where he's not like, it's not like some MCU protagonist where it's like, oh, whoops, I'm not that good at being a hero, I guess. Like, trying to figure stuff out. All right, got my ass kicked a few times. Hope it doesn't happen again. Till I finally managed to win through whatever bullshit means or something like that at the end of the movie. Luffy's very confident in the, like, it's on a spectrum, right? So, like, in the anime, Luffy literally is never ever fail. Like, it's very rare. It takes a long time. You could argue that it's not till it's not till Alabasta against Crocodile, I would argue. I think that's literally the first time. So that's 180 chapters in. So that would be season 3 of this show. It's not till that fight in the anime that you first see Luffy like actually shaken by something. That doesn't make for a very... In live action TV, that kind of makes him too power fantasy perfect of a protagonist. Like it wouldn't be as compelling. You want someone a bit more human, right? So I think they ground Luffy enough to make him, less completely unfazed and like always confident like he is in the anime, while still giving him that confidence. Like, I love the fact that, mild spoilers or whatever, but like he's up against Wapol at the end of the season. It's the finale big bad. And Luffy's still treating him like he would treat Wapol from the manga, which is like, I'm just going to kick your ass. Like, I know I'm going to kick your ass. That's obviously the answer. You're not going to beat me, yada, yada. They make Luffy have a bit more trouble in spots than he otherwise would. And there's certain lines that I just straight up don't like. Like when he told Arlong in season 1, I might not be able to beat you, but I can destroy everything you worked for. It's like, why would you... There's just no reason to write Luffy like that. Make him... Like, it's just straight up... That's a point where you don't want to ground him, because the whole point of the character that you've been writing in the live action is that this dude believes he can do anything. That's like the whole point. Like, he is confident he's going to become Pirate King. He's confident he can pull off anything, right? So don't make him say that line, especially because Luffy does actually beat Arlong anyway after that. He's stronger than Arlong. He kicks Arlong's ass. So that was weird. I think that was just trying to... Like, I feel like Western heroes, lots of times, they want to make them a little underdoggy or something like that. But Luffy in East Blue is not supposed to be an underdog. He's supposed to be the big fish that's going around eating up all the other little fishes that thought they ran the ocean, I think that's the only point in the live action that I was like, okay, this was a stupid line. Because one, it betrays what the character has stood for so far. And two, it's not even true, because the show disproves that in the very next 2 minutes, right? Where Luffy just beats Arlong. So that was the only moment where I think downplaying Luffy's confidence was bad. I think season 2's been great in terms of that. Even when they're up against seemingly challenging opponents, and in my head, I'm like, they better not show that Luffy is scared or whatever, shaken by this. I think the way that they write Luffy's responses is always good. I think anime level confidence is just too much, because then you've got this hero that is not ever showing any signs of concern ever until the 3rd season, and that's just not gonna fly that well, I think. I think where they've got him is good. Gary Sue? Yeah, I would agree that would feel kind of like that. I'm worried about Chainsaw Man Part 2. I want to see. He barely beat Don Krieg. He was drowning in Arlong Park, and he gets captured by Buggy. So that's talking about, results. I'm talking about, his demeanor, right? In terms of, his demeanor, he's never worried in any of those fights. The first time you see him worried is against Crocodile. You could argue against Smoker, but Smoker goes by really fast in the manga. It seems like it's too fast for Luffy to even register that he's losing. It's kind of like, wait, what's happening? Oh, Dragon came to save me. Crocodile's the first time that you see Luffy actually, stressed. He's running. He's, yelling. He's begging for Crocodile to stop. You don't normally see Luffy beg. That's the first time that you see Luffy just realize that he's kind of out of his element, out of his depth. So that's just too far in the story, the things that happen with barely beat Don Krieg. Yeah, but he knows the entire time he's gonna beat Don Krieg. It's kind of just getting through a lot of bullshit. Drowning in Arlong Park, that was due to his own silliness, where he gets his feet stuck in the concrete and gets tossed underwater. So it's almost like the plot has to remove Luffy, because otherwise it's like the story acknowledging that Luffy's too strong. So we need Luffy's own own stupidity and short-sightedness to get him into, a little, whatever you call it, like detour, basically. It's not like he gets stuck and trapped on the ocean due to being defeated or being overpowered. It's just like, Luffy's silliness goes so far that he could even screw himself over temporarily in battle. And getting captured by Buggy was as simple as just like Buggy just putting the executioner thing down on his head. It's not like Buggy... These aren't defeats, and these aren't things that really affect the perception of Luffy as this unstoppable hero. Yeah, we could talk more about the live action on Monday after my review's out. Saint Vorg 453, thanks for the 10. Ever since you reminded us that Shanks was last seen at a wedding, I was wondering if that was just flavor or something, like how big the red-haired crew marrying the nobility to tend a reverie like Blackbeard is trying. Oh, that's possible. Yeah, that's definitely possible. Does anyone have good theories on the Shanks wedding thing? That is still, there's so many, like Oda throws so many balls in the air that it's like almost impossible to keep track of all of them. Let's get the stream likes up to 50 real quick. Mr. MMF2, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 41 months. Yo, more Jesse, you gonna watch JoJo Part 7 in 6 days? Also, please check Bakido Chapter 78, page 8 to 10. Sure. It's the funniest shit ever. Alright, let's see. Bakido Chapter 78. Alright, let's check it out. Advice. Oh, this is the conversation with Motobe? I've seen this already in the manga and anime. Oh, this is funny. Here, I'll show you guys. This is funny enough that I feel like I should display it for y'all. Here, look at this. So for those of you who don't know Baki, the iconic character from Baki is this guy, Yujiro. He's basically he is the strongest character in the series by far. It's by like a good margin. You could argue a character is introduced in this arc that is theoretically meant to rival him or something or whatever. But this guy's basically been the invincible, unstoppable god of the story up till now who does whatever he wants. All due respect, don't do it. So this is his response. So this is for the first time he's being told, hey, there's an opponent that I don't think you can defeat. So he's like, what? That's funny. Does it keep going? He's just like, why? Like, he literally can't understand. He's too much for you. Oh, man, the anime butchered this. This is so much funnier here. Oh, my God, that's hilarious. He's just like, what the... If you watch Baki at all, you understand why this reaction feels so warranted. Like, I don't think I can think of a series where there's a character that's just like, that's portrayed like Yujiro relative to the rest of the cast like that. Like, this makes sense that his reaction is like... The lingering heat of summer has begun to wane. My head must be playing tricks on me. Must be the sunlight, but it probably isn't. Yeah, that's funny. That's really, really funny. The Baki author has a great sense of humor. I'll say that. Mr. MMF2, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 41 months. Yo, more... Okay, yeah, no, sorry. You asked, am I going to watch JoJo's Part 7 in 6 days? I'm going to watch it, but I'm not going to lie. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to it for several reasons. I just have strong doubts about... I don't think they did Part 6 well. I don't think they did... I don't care if people are like, bring JoJo... The JoJo's fandom is obsessive. I don't know if you guys have seen, but like anything that Netflix posts anywhere, doesn't matter which series it is, it has countless JoJo fans. All the top comments are flooded. It's like me with the Wano analysis. It's like all of comments are flooded with JoJo fans saying like, make sure JoJo's is released weekly. Make sure it's released weekly. Like it's all fans want. It's crazy. Like you can be looking at something like a Baki post or something like that on Netflix, and all the fans are just saying, make sure JoJo's is weekly. We want weekly Steel Ball Run, right? I personally wouldn't bet on Netflix for listening, but I ultimately don't personally care whether or not JoJo's is weekly or not. I'm not going to lie. I would prefer to be able to binge the whole thing. But I get that if you're part of the fandom and the community, you would naturally want it week after week. Week after week is, I'd say weekly is best if you are personally invested in the community, and also like you get joy from a series you love gaining momentum online and going viral online and just becoming part of like more widespread discourse, right? And that's completely understandable. Like for me, if I love Chainsaw Man, right? So when the anime for that comes out for the rest of part 1, I don't know how part 2 comes out, how part 2 plays out, please don't spoil me, but I know I love the rest of part 1. I would like that to come out weekly, because not only am I invested in watching Chainsaw Man, I'm invested in seeing, like, I'm excited to see, like, what are the reactions week after week as new viewers find out how Chainsaw Man part 1 goes, you know? So if you're invested in that sort of thing, then naturally you're going to want it weekly. I'm not invested in JoJo's like that. So I don't really, like, I like JoJo's, but I'm not like, oh, I need to see what people's reactions are to, like, Poco Loco taking the lead in, you know, chapter 24 of the race or something like that. Like, so I don't care about that part. I'd rather be able to binge it. My bigger concern is I don't think they did a good job with part 6. Netflix did. There's just too many like still shots, too many shots where it's clear that they like cut corners with animating. You compare it to like part 5's animation is beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. And I think that I personally liked JoJo's production direction. I feel like to me it improved with every single part. Like I like watching part 3 better than part 1 and 2. I like watching part 4 better than the previous parts. And then I think part 5, in terms of animation quality at the very least, it peaks in terms of scene direction, yada yada. Part 6, I'm not feeling it. I think like it's not fun. Like I even have tried going back to watch fights, like the entire final fight with Pucci. I don't think it's done that well. It feels really stiff. I think part 7 is one where it's so visually beautiful, because part 7 is where JoJo's goes monthly in the manga. It's so visually beautiful, and especially in the ending segments, it's not just the visual beauty of the part and how vibrant it is. It's a lot of just how the story is presented. It carries a bit more like weight and gravitas than previous JoJo's parts. And if you don't nail that in terms of scene direction and presentation, it's just not going to hit the same. So I'm not confident in that. And then there's one last part of it, which is that Steel Ball Run is actually not very good for the first 30%. For the first 30%, I was genuinely like, why do people say that this is like the best JoJo's part? It takes off around the 1/3 mark of the story. Then that's when you get your first really, really good fights and stand battles and stuff like that. Early on, it's just like the Boom family and some stupid shit, and it's just like I would argue that it almost feels weaker than other JoJo parts or recent JoJo parts in the beginning phase. So yeah, it's a few factors. One, if it's Netflix doing it, I think it's gonna drop it in batches. And if it's dropping it in batches, I predict that the first batch is going to be the batch that I don't really care that much for, which is just getting through the initial parts of the race without spoilers, right? So it's not something I'm going to be too interested in anyway. And two, I'm not confident that Netflix's production is going to be good. I'm more excited for Bleach. I'm very excited for Bleach. Yeah. A decent amount of the guys that worked on Part 5 are working on Steel Ball Run. That's good to hear. I don't think I've seen anything from the trailers that convinces me that the animation is going to be really good quality, but maybe I'm wrong. Sheriff Laffy, thanks for being a Yon Couture member for 41 months. Kobe is the Chinjao to LeBron's Garp. I think that's going too far. I think that's going way too far. And again, I'm not a Kobe fan, but I think that's that's going way too far. East Blue 42, thanks for the 2. Dragon Ball Z is Jordan, and One Piece is LeBron. Who's Kobe? That's so easy. Kobe would be Naruto. That's actually the easiest comparison of all time, in the sense that the thing is that Naruto fans have kind of slowly killed themselves off, metaphorically speaking, over time. So now it's rare that you're going to see Naruto fans. They kind of bowed out of the discussion. It's rare to see Naruto fans now arguing Naruto over One Piece because they're busy mourning the loss of their favorite series, basically, the way things went out. But I would say in the past, right? Back in the day, it almost is representative of back in the day, Kobe was greater than LeBron in discussions, no doubt. In the 2000s, right? In the 2000s, Kobe above LeBron, no question. And then it was sometime, I think from 2016 on, people started pushing LeBron, the consensus, not consensus, but you started to see LeBron take over in that second place. He kind of started actually being put by more people above Kobe, basically. I think 2010s, it was probably up in the air from what I know. And then 2016 kind of pushed LeBron ahead, and I think he's just been gaining since then, right? But Naruto is a great comparison because, Naruto fans would never argue that Naruto is, greater all time as a manga than Dragon Ball Z, or Dragon Ball. They'd be like, no, of course that's, the GOAT, yada, yada. They acknowledge that Dragon Ball is this giant that supersedes even Naruto, right? But Naruto fans, at least for years, would 100% argue that Naruto is above One Piece. And in terms of greatness, overall impact, at least in the West, they were right for a long time. That's changed now. But I think that's a great discussion because One Piece doesn't even try to compare itself to Naruto anymore. One Piece is obviously we're above Naruto. Are we the greatest manga of all time, or is it Dragon Ball, right? That's where One Piece fans are coming from. Naruto fans are never going to try and, argue that Naruto has surpassed Dragon Ball in greatness, but I'd say if you went back, 5 years or 10 years, you'd still get lots of Naruto fans arguing that Naruto is above One Piece overall as greatest manga. I think now that debate is just over, because One Piece at this point is kind of if LeBron just stayed good all the way till today, but that obviously, people aren't stories. They do get old and tired, but yeah. So I think that's a nice, simple comparison. I'd say if you went to the 2010s and had this discussion, I think that One Piece would be LeBron, Dragon Ball would be Jordan, and Naruto would be Kobe. Bassam El-Madawi, thanks for the 5. I gotta go, but I think I didn't like Luffy live action running from Mr. 5 in episode 3. I'll end with I really enjoyed the sets. I wish Loketown had a theme park. Yeah, so it's tricky because I think him running from Mr. 5 in episode 3 was very good from a live action viewer only perspective. I thought the sets were terrible for the most part. I wish Loketown had a theme park. Yeah, I don't know. I thought the sets are one of the weakest points. I like some of the bigger stuff, like Little Garden, wide shot, wide open scenery and everything. But constructed sets, I thought were very poor. And so Luffy running from Mr. 5, if you are a live action only viewer, that's really good. I think that they scaled the threat of Baroque Works a lot better for what you should be feeling over the course of this season. Because so let's take things back, right? In Whiskey Peak, when Mr. 5 and Ms. Valentine first show up, in Whiskey Peak in the manga, Oda actually makes them seem like a very strong duo because he gives them a lot of aura when they first show up. All the Whiskey Peak bounty hunters are terrified of them. We've already seen that, the Whiskey Peak bounty hunters, like, Zoro can handle them fine. But it's still somewhat of a challenge to get through all of them, especially all of the officer agents working together. But it's made clear that the Mr. 5 and Ms. Valentine duo, like, they're on just a completely different level. So, right off the bat, they have a lot of aura and intimidation. And that's good, because so far this Baroque Works organization that we've been fighting in Whiskey Peak has been kind of a joke. But we're excited to see, like, what can stronger agents do? And then Mr. 5 kind of starts to show off his abilities, and his fruit, on paper, seems like a really broken fruit. It seems like a really powerful fruit. So, the initial aura and weight that is given to his introduction, the character design, like, the fear factor everybody has of him, and then when he starts showing off his fruit, the bomb fruit, that's immediately a far more dangerous feeling fruit than, like, East Blue villains like Buggy had, at least in terms of perception, right? To date, a lot of readers will say that the bomb fruit feels like it should have been one of the strongest fruits, but it was kind of wasted on Mr. 5, right? So Mr. 5 and Ms. Valentine had a lot going for them, and then Ms. Valentine has her fruit too, which is a strong supporting fruit. So right off the bat, you get the sense that these are very strong characters, and it even feels like there's the potential that these guys might be, like, we don't know. We're in the Grand Line now. Like, we don't know. Maybe these guys are even stronger than all those villains that we fought in the East Blue. So it's doing a really good job of setting up this thread of Baroque Works, because it's like, oh my god, this Mr. 5 pair, they already seem like really, really strong. And there's like 4 more pairs even stronger than them, right? And then obviously Mr. Zero and everything. So that's very exciting. But then Oda does something which is, like, I'm not saying this is bad. I think this is still, like, obviously, I'm cool with everything the way it played out, obviously. And, like, I like this scene. But Oda has Luffy and Zoro zero diff one-shot Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine. Like, it's nothing. Like, he just has them stomp them. And it's so that Oda can hype up Luffy and Zoro, right? And it's like, that's cool. He also has Mr. 5 and Ms. Valentine, like, freak out. Like, they have, like, a big terrified face right before Luffy and Zoro, like, just one-shot them. That's cool for them, but it also immediately erases that building sense of threat of, like, oh my god, how strong are these Baroque Works agents? And, like, we're already kind of getting the sense that, okay, the Mr. 5 pair seem really strong, and the Bomb Fruit seems really strong. Like, these guys might be stronger than all the East Blue guys, and, like, think about all the characters even stronger than them in Baroque Works coming up. But then as soon as they get stomped, it immediately brings things back down, like, many notches, where it's like, okay, so the Baroque Works guys, still not a big deal, right? That's still cool. Like, I wouldn't change that part of Whiskey Peak or anything like that, but I'm saying that if your goal is to actually continue to give a sense of escalating threat to Baroque Works and really make them feel like a really intimidating organization, I think that not having Mr. 5 and Ms. Valentine just get humiliated off the bat in Whiskey Peak is good. I think it's better storytelling that in the live action, they were not defeated right there. I also think it's better storytelling that they removed the Luffy versus Zoro fight. So overall, I think Whiskey Peak is better in the live action than in the manga. I think that there's some storytelling choices, obviously okayed by Oda, that are improvements, in my opinion. Because we still see them defeated. It's just an arc down the line, and that's good because it keeps the mystery of how strong they are compared to the Straw Hats alive a little bit longer. It allows that threat to loom a little bit longer. And Mr. 3 and Ms. Golden Week are far more deadly in the live action than they were in the manga as well. So it continues, like, it's just more effective. It's just more effective to keep up the sense that, okay, like everything's just a little bit harder in the live action, where Zoro defeats all the bounty hunters, and but it's not like he defeats all the bounty hunters easily like he did in in the manga, and he doesn't defeat all 4 agents. He defeats 2 agents, right? So, and it's like a big workout for him. Like it's hard, okay? So already it's like, okay, the lower level agents of Baroque Works in the live action, like your live action reviewer, it feels like, okay, the lower level agents, they're fodder, and like, Mr. 9 and stuff, that's not a big deal. That's not that hard for someone like Zoro, but it's not like effortless, right? It's still like, he's still got to work for it, right? So then it's like, okay, that's like the Mr. 9 type level, right? Then the Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine's Day duo show up, and it's like, holy shit, these guys have broken abilities, and these seem really strong, and that's only Mr. 5? That's crazy. The Strats don't beat him, so it's up in the air how the Strats stack up against them. And then you get to Little Garden, and now on top of Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine, who seemed very strong, we're now dealing with Mr. 3 and Miss Golden Week, and their abilities are straight up, they feel unfair in the live action. So, the whole Little Garden battle really, really does a great job, like, getting the crew close to just straight up just being wiped out, and you feel like a far greater challenge against these Baroque Works agents, and it's in your head that, like, holy shit, like, Mr. 3, Ms. Golden Week, they have these crazy broken powers. Mr. 5 and Ms. Valentine are a challenge as well, and this is all still before we're getting even to, like, the top few members of Baroque Works, so it gets you very excited for Season 3. So I prefer the way the live action did it in that sense. Jordan Vance says, I did miss Luffy not catching Mr. 3 when he made his clones like he did in the manga. Yeah, but like I think that the themes of Little Garden are different in the live action than in the manga. Tiptio Treviso thanks the 2. Baki is more insane than any other manga and crazy. Yeah, Baki is I think it's the only manga I can think of that is wackier than JoJo's even. In terms of like the ludicrousness of its main characters, their actions, how they talk, how they think, and the bullshit explanations that happen in fights. Let's get the likes up to 50 real quick. Sheriff Laffy, thanks for the 5. I don't think I asked before, what arc do you think is next? I know you said Lodestar isn't necessary, but I could see them going there. So Elbaf concludes, they need that final road poneglyph, right? So if they get the final road poneglyph, I just don't get why would they go to Lodestar? I feel like the arc that comes next is maybe just the final war. Mokos5395, thanks for the 5. Hello, Moth. Whenever you have time, you should have read Chojin X. It's goated. Chojin X, is that written by? Am I crazy? It's by Tokyo Ghoul author. I don't know if I want to read Chojin X. What is it? How far along is it? How good's is Chojin X good? Do you guys recommend? I haven't heard that much about it. I meant to say Morge. No worries. I understood. Thank you, Mokos. Tiptio Treviso, thanks for the 2. If Luffy doesn't beat Emu, how will One Piece fans react? I don't think One Piece fans will care as long as, like, if Emu's not the final villain. You know? Like, we're still in the feeling out phase, honestly, with Emu. Because you could argue that Oda does things to make Emu feel like a little less competent very often. It's pretty good. Okay, maybe I'll give it a shot. It's like, is Oda gonna keep making Emu feel like it's whoever Oda makes feel like the final villain more, you know? Like if Oda makes Emu feel kind of bumbling and incompetent, and kind of carried by his, like, let's say the immortality operation and his unfair fruit and everything like that, I think people won't care if, like, Dragon or Blackbeard or Shanks or someone is allowed to take out Emu. People will care about, like, as long as the final fight feels like Luffy against the biggest threat, and let's say that biggest threat's Blackbeard, I think people will be happy. Tatio Treviso, thanks for the 2. Is the Kaguya twist the Achilles tear of manga? I don't think most other manga do that. And even One Piece doesn't seem like it's in the direction of doing that. Like, already right now, if Imu's the final villain, it's like so different than Kaguya being the final villain. Like, there's so much more setup for this. Yeah. 001 Dave, thanks, Dev, thanks for the 2. Do you think Sanji used advanced color armaments in 1176? I don't think so. Until it's confirmed, I'm not going to assume that. Maybe. Sid P, thanks for the 2. Where's the Wano analysis, bro? It's been on pause for a bit, but it will come out soon. Kalal Brown, thanks for the 10. Hey, Morge, how strong do you think Franky is? From what we saw, his basic punch was on the same level as Jinbei's best technique. I think Franky can beat characters like Dofi, Cracker, Jack, Jinbei as well. I don't want to just assume that, like, just because Franky's doing an attack, it's going to be on the same level as Jinbei. Just because they're in the same spread. Because, like, there was, like, sometimes that could be the implication, but that's not always the case, you know? Like sometimes that can mean that oh, these attacks are on the same level, but I don't think that's always the case. It's like, you know, there was that team attack that Franky, Sanji, and Bonnie did on Mars. I don't think they all were the same strength attack. But I do think it's possible that his basic punch was on the same level as Jinbei. Like, portrayal-wise, it feels like that could be the case. I think Franky right now, I personally think Franky is stronger than Jinbei overall. Like, I'm not going to assume that Franky's straight punching is above Jinbei's, because let's still give that to Jinbei, till proven otherwise. But I do think Franky overall now might be above Jinbei, because this is just base Franky doing his most basic attack, which is a punch, right? And that's Jinbei doing one of his best techniques. Base Franky still has, you know, beams and rockets and, like, coup de vent and everything like that. And that's not even getting to General Franky, like the Shogun form. So I'm curious how strong Shogun form is now. You know, so how strong Franky is. I mean, I'm hesitant to put him above, like, Dofi, Cracker, Jack, etc. Because I'm like, that would put him probably above Dressrosa, Gear 4th Luffy, which feels like kind of crazy. Like, Dressrosa, Gear 4th Luffy was doing some crazy shit, you know? He punched the island in half. Not literally, but he punched the city in half, whatever you want to say. But it's possible Franky is now comfortably in the Yonko Commander territory. Assuming Franky's dad is Queen, my assumption has been for a bit that Franky is going to end up at least as strong as Queen, if not stronger, end of story. And maybe he's already hit the Queen benchmark. Who's to say? Henchme987, thanks for the 2. Should get a 139-year-old actress to play Kureha. I think Kureha's actress was good, but Hirolik's actor was just like, he stole the show. Absolutely stole the show. Goomba Boomba, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 41 months. Did you see the Oda podcast? What? Oda did a podcast? No, I've never seen that. What? Jordan Vance says Naruto, as in pop culture, isn't the it thing anymore. I work with kids and teens. They don't talk about it. Yeah, I was talking more so, I was comparing more so like in the 2000s and 2010s, you know? Naruto was the king of anime at that point. Like, Dragon Ball was like the old king of anime, and like everyone still bowed down and respected the old king. But then like, it's almost like, yeah. Like, but then in the new era, Naruto was like number one for sure. Like, I don't think people understand being a One Piece fan in the 2000s. It's so different than now. Like, One Piece wasn't even a name that most people knew. Like at least, like, back then, anime was not popular. It was not cool to be into anime, okay? But at least, like, you know, kids walking around wearing Naruto clothing or like Akatsuki clothing and stuff like that, you'd see that or whatever. People didn't know what the fuck One Piece is. Even today, like, there's still people who, like, sometimes I'll mention, like, you would think One Piece is a household name nowadays, but it's really still not. Like, there are plenty of times that I'll mention, like, what do you do for work? I do YouTube on a series from Japan, and it's called One Piece or whatever, and there's been many, many times. Like, it's a solid 50-50 shot. I would say I still would lean 60-40 to a random person me explaining that they've never heard the name One Piece before, but it's so different from the 2000s. Back then, like, nobody knew One Piece. Like, it was not even in... Like, you couldn't even be bullied for being a One Piece fan because nobody even fucking heard of that at that point in time. Like, it was just like... You would have to really jog people's memory. You'd have to probably, like, I'd have to explain, like, oh, that you might have seen on Cartoon Network way back or something like that. Like, this stretchy pirate kid or something, you know? Taptir Treviso, thanks to 2. I was talking Kaguya for the Kobe injury in Naruto. Oh, I see what you're saying. That's the equivalent. Kaguya really killed Kobe's goat case? Yeah, that's that's funny. You're right. Your sample size is small. I don't know. It is hard to compare, like, how great, like, the careers of athletes as time goes on, because they just, like, people's, like, the way that we, like, our medicine and recovery is so different now, you know? So it's almost unfair, because it's like, well, what if Kobe had gotten to keep going? Like, Kevin Durant after his Achilles, or like Tatum, you know, like, they're going to get a second life in their careers. So it's kind of unfair that we don't have a way to account for injuries and people, you know, whatever. But I still don't think Kobe belongs anywhere close to the GOAT case. All right. Add CP3 trade being vetoed along with the Achilles tear. Yeah, I'll never understand that. Because, one, I don't think I'll ever have a handle on how good Chris Paul was during that period of time. Because I just know from people telling me that he was really good that he's good. But I'll never have actually, like, gotten to see that. And then I've never seen a trade be vetoed by the commissioner. So that whole concept is very foreign to me. I'm like, why would fans even accept that? Like, in my mind, I'm like, if there was a really cool trade happening and then Adam Silver came in and said you're not allowed to do it, I feel like there'd be, like, riots in the street. So I don't really understand that. I really don't understand just the core concept. Like, how was a trade vetoed by the commissioner? On whose authority? Like, they fucking agreed to it, you know? If that's the case, then why haven't, like, other trades been vetoed since then? I don't know. Why wasn't, like... I don't know. Sheriff Laffy, thanks to the 2. Where do you think Oda wants the One Piece live action to end? So what I've seen, I've seen a quote going around that Oda has in mind where the One Piece live action should end. But I read into the quote, unless there's a different quote that I'm missing, I read the quote and it's what Makinyu is saying. And it's not, the quote's not what people are making it out to be. It's not Oda saying, I want the live action to end here. It's Oda saying, I want the live action to get up to at least this point. Like, that's the implication. Like, that's where I want the live action to get to. But it's not like they're planning the series to end there. That's just, like, their goal as their benchmark for success. Like, we got the show to at least this point. And then at that point, if the show's really successful, they're gonna keep going. Like, they're trying to fucking do a sequel for Jon Snow that nobody asked for. You know what I mean? Like if the franchise is working, they're gonna keep going. Actors' ages be damned, you know? But Oda's basically saying, from what I understand of that quote, like, with his vision in mind of how far he wants the live action to go, to at least hit that benchmark of, like, okay, I showed the world a taste of One Piece and, like, the story. I imagine the benchmark might be something like, you know, like an Enies Lobby or Marineford or something like that, right? But if the show's really become a successful financial juggernaut, it's super popular, etc., they're gonna just keep it going past that. I don't like everything about the way that they're doing the story so far. Seems like they're planning it with, like, the whole story in mind. even Sun God shit, spoilers, is mentioned in the live action. So it sounds like what he's referring to in that quote is, this is the minimum that Oda wants us to, like, this is the goal that Oda's trying to get us to. Like, he's not going to think about getting us all the way to the end, because that's, like, almost too ambitious. But, like, let's at least get here first, you know? That's what it sounds like. Yeah. It's like a 2-minute clip. You could look it up yourself right now. I read the quote, is there further context? Because I do want to get into the predictions. Also, hold on. So, I have noticed a lot of you all staring at the hoodies. So, unfortunately, the hoodie right now, the deal is over, right? So the deal is over. I told you guys the deal would be over. But due to a lot of people really wanting the hoodie, we're doing something, all right? So we have the Magma hoodie, the Light hoodie, and the Ice hoodie. We are doing a giveaway for the hoodie. The giveaway winner will be announced at the end of this month on the 30th, okay? So we're doing a giveaway for the hoodie. If you want a chance to win this hoodie, or any of the other 2 hoodies, Magma hoodie or Light hoodie, you can win these hoodies. You just got to go give us a follow on One Dream Studios. So I linked our Instagram there. All followers get a chance at the hoodie giveaway. So just go, just follow for a chance to win the hoodie. Just follow for a chance to win the hoodie. So if you wanted one of the hoodies, you couldn't get them, you missed out on the deal, that's all good. Just go to Instagram, give a follow. End of the month, we'll be picking a giveaway winner. So, and I'll keep shouting this out over the course of streams, and then obviously the winner will be announced at the end of the month. So yeah, good news, good consolation prize for everybody who kind of missed out on the opportunity to get the hoodie earlier on. Is it worldwide? Yeah, it ships worldwide. Are you using minoxidil or finasteride for your amazing hair? Thank you. And I am actually using finasteride. I was good with finasteride because I started it preemptively. I think a lot of people wait. But I got this fear in my head. Actually, probably from you guys. You guys started making fun of me. So I was like, I don't want to lose hair. So then I started using finasteride. And there has been no change in my... I've actually started growing a little bit more hair on my head. But overall, like, I've gone to the dermatologist for the last couple of years. No changes in my hairline. And my hairline's actually somewhat come back. So I thought about doing minoxidil. For those of you who don't know, all right, my chat is 90-something% men. Let me fill you guys in. For those of you who don't know, you should use finasteride or minoxidil, okay? Your hair will at some point go. Might not be today, might not be tomorrow, might not even be 2 days from now, but in some years it will go. You should get ahead of that shit. Finasteride prevents hair loss. You take finasteride, you're good. Minoxidil increases your hair. So minoxidil increases your hair, finasteride prevents hair loss. I don't take minoxidil because it's like a little dicier for some reasons. And like, you kind of have to do the topical application. I don't really want to do that. And also my hair has been good with finasteride, so I don't want to like fuck with a good thing, you know? But yeah, go get the hoodies. And that's not a paid sponsorship. That's just life advice. But go if you want to get your hoodie. Again, you'll get to pick between the Magma, Ice, or Light hoodie. But just go to Instagram, give us a follow, and you're automatically entered in the giveaway. I'm so inconsistent with minoxidil. Yeah, that's the thing, because it's just like I would not remember to do the topical application every day. I think there is a pill version of minoxidil, but I think it doesn't. Then you're not able to control where your hair growth happens, and I don't want to just like suddenly be growing a shit ton of hair everywhere. So I stick with finasteride. JR182, thanks for the 5. If Kisame was in One Piece, do you think he'd be a swordsman? Does Samahara count as a sword in your opinion? Do you like him in Naruto or was yeah, he'd be a swordsman. He's literally called a swordsman. He's one of the 7 swordsmen, right? Or does he kill the 7 swordsmen? I forget. He's one of the is he not one of the 7 swordsmen? Kills the 7 swordsmen? I forget exactly. But Kisame, and does Samahara count as a sword? Yeah, I think it counts as a sword. You know, I think in One Piece, like, if Zoro considers you, like, a worthy challenge... Like, if Zoro looked at him, Zoro would be like, I want to fight him. I think that's a simple way to put it. Did I like him in Naruto? Did I like him in Naruto? I think I was always confused. I think he was, like, surprisingly way stronger than I thought in Naruto, which threw me. I was like, why is this dude, like, fucking up Killer Bee, and then after that, Guy comes in and fucks him up, fucks Kisame up with like 7 gates, and I didn't know Guy had it like that at that point. I was like, Guy's fucking like Kage level, like what is this? So there's a few things. I was just like, I think the whole Kisame. I think I dislike Kisame because in my mind he threw off my perceived consistency of how strong characters were. Because I was just like, holy shit, Killer Bee's the shit. Like, Killer Bee's crazy strong. Fucks up, like, all of Sasuke's team. And then Kisame fucks up Killer Bee. And then Guy comes in and, like, absolutely fucks up Kisame. And I was just like, I swear Guy's not this... like, I don't know. It was confusing to me. I don't know. Anuj Agrawal! Because it was confusing because it was like... I feel like we were told that 8 gates gives you, like, power surpassing Kage. But I was like, so 7 gates puts Guy above, like, Killer Bee and, like, the Raikage and shit? I just didn't think Guy was like that at that point in time. So I was confused. Anuj Agrawal, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 41 months, man. Hey, Morge, loved your videos. Do you think there's a chance Joybo was Dami reversied and sent to Elbaf, which is why the Sun God is feared there? That would be insane. A Dami reversied version of the Sun God or Sun God fruit user. I don't think that happened, but I think that that's a really interesting idea. Tiptia Treviso, thanks to the 2. Future, the One Piece is the Sun video planned. I mean, I talk about that in great detail in the Elbaf mural video. If you guys remember, I talk about that in great detail there. But... maybe it'd be good to... I think I might do like a big mega theory that wraps things, that ties things together somewhere down the line. And that might be a good pitch for it in terms of just titling it. You know what? I might write that down. Hold on. I might write that down as just being the core concept of the video. Hold on. All right. Makos, thanks for being a Supernova member. Thanks for joining as a Supernova member. Appreciate it. JPZB3YB, thanks for the 5. Kisame, I hope you enjoy it. Test out your new emotes and everything like that. I really appreciate the support. Thank you, Makos. JP, thanks for the 5. Kisame gets stronger the stronger his opponent's chakra was, so he was a good counter to tailed beasts, but Guy was all taijutsu and countered Kisame. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. All right. If you do a mega theory, you should wait until we get more information on the first world. Yeah, I don't want to jump to do it because I just did that huge theory on the mural. I don't want to jump to be doing something similar until we get a bit more information again. All right, let's get into some predictions. Let's get into some predictions. Hold on. And we are starting a chapter predictions leaderboard officially. So I'm excited. So it should be ready by next week's Friday stream, I think. But the way it's going to work is we're going to go back through I'm going to go back through the previous chapter predictions winners and just list down everybody who's won. And then we'll have a leaderboard rolling. And so you can see people who have won, and then you can see people who have won multiple times, and then you can see who's at the top of the leaderboard. And I think we can maybe have some tiered rewards or something. Not tiered rewards, that might be that's getting too deep. But I think whoever's number one, we can think of some sort of reward or something like that. But obviously who's at the top of the leaderboard will likely change over time. But yeah, because the current reward for winning chapter predictions is becoming mod, but I don't want to keep doing that because at a certain point, you got everybody in chat as mod, and it's all right, well then it kind of devalues. Yeah, so I think this will be fun. This will be a fun way. We'll make it an actual competition. More just too late for parking submissions? Yes, because Parking Podcast, it should have come out yesterday. So I'm sorry about that. It should have come out yesterday. Editor had a delay on his end, which was understandable. But then it was ready last night, and then our assistant should have put it up today. So I don't know why it wasn't put up today. So I sent a message in Slack, so it should be resolved by tomorrow morning. Sheriff Luffy, thanks for the 5. Do you think there's any possibility that Akainu/Kizaru could end up Dami reversing? I have thought about that. I think that there is a legitimate possibility that those characters could end up Dami reversing. Especially if Oda wants to give us a Sanji-Kizaru matchup or something like that. It's maybe Dami reversing is the only route to force those sort of things. I'd be really sad to see someone like Akainu Dami reversing. Because I feel like he should retain his independence as a character. But Kizaru is kind of I think the perfect type of character to get Dami reversing. I think Kizaru is the perfect character to get Dami reversing. Because it's just he makes for a really good matchup for any character that needs one end of story. But at the same time, he morally is in a spot where he's he's not fully Celestial Dragon pilled, but he's not going to... It's unclear if he's ever going to defect. He's in that position where it's you can get the good morally conflicted character writing out of him, but you probably still want to use him to fight characters. And I'll say this, I'm going to be really fucking irritated if we get to the final war and you have Kizaru fighting whoever, Kizaru versus Sanji, Kizaru versus... I thought Kizaru might fight Aokiji or something. Whoever fights Kizaru, the Kizaru defenders are going to pull this shit out of their ass, which is well, he's so disillusioned with the way that the world government is now that, obviously he's not fighting at full strength here. He's again mentally nerfed. And the sad thing is yeah, they would probably have a point. But it's just okay, so ever since Egghead Island, it's just the mythical, full force Kizaru is just never going to be... you can't disprove how strong Kizaru is because, ever since he's always mentally nerfed. There's always something going on, Sabaody, he wasn't going all out. Why? He just didn't feel like it. Marineford, he just didn't feel like it, right? Post-time skip, well, he's sad and moody. So he can't go all out. So it's well, we'll never know how strong peak Kizaru is, So I can already see the discussions that are going to happen end of story. So the only way we can get a straight fight out of Kizaru is if he's literally forced to fight properly via Dami Reversi, is what it looks like, So part of me hopes that it happens, because it's just maybe that'll shut the Kizaru diehard defenders up. It's all right, look, he's literally plot controlled to fight at full strength, and he's amped. So there's no excuses now, right? That's what I'm hoping for. Or if Kizaru switches sides, I'm sure if he switches sides to the good guy side, then, I mean, I'm all for that too. I like Kizaru as a character. That'd be cool. JP, thanks for the 5. Akainu himself is definitely coming next for the Straw Hats since every Admiral has been sent after them and failed. I don't think that's the Fleet Admiral's job, though. I don't think that's going to happen, personally. Tia Treviso, thanks for the 2. Prediction, Emu reveals minor Void Sentry info. Yeah, I could include that, sure. Just to get the ball rolling. Just to get the ball rolling on predictions, because I'm starting it kind of late in the stream. Emu reveals minor Void Sentry info. Grizzly Adams, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 31 months, man. Which character would be the coolest looking as a Dami Reversi? Kizaru would be cool looking with the juxtaposition of his powers. Yeah, dark and light, Kizaru would look really cool. Mihawk would be cool because it would give him a demonic vampire look. Mihawk would look really cool, but I think it almost... Mihawk, I feel like it really ruins his style, like... It fits, but it does, because like Mihawk's this very composed, elegant looking character, you know, like almost very classy. So seeing him turn, like Rox got Dami reversied, yeah, but Rox is already kind of like this wild, like wild, wacky character. Mihawk getting Dami reversied, I think that would like, it would make for a really cool visual, but it almost feels disrespectful to the character's design and everything. Kid being Dami reversied? Oh, shit. That'd be, like, how much further through the dirt does Kid need to be dragged? Grizzly Adams, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 31 months. Watch out for the Pirate King podcast that I guess is going up tomorrow at this point. I'm sorry about that, guys. Which character would be the coolest looking as a Dom... Oh, no, we covered that. We just covered that. You know what? By the way, here's something funny. Here's something funny that I think... Check this out. I don't know if you guys would agree with this, but check this out, okay? I was thinking about this the other day, all right? This is a random offhand thing, all right? So, Gorosei. All right, so I think if people were asked, like, what are the Gorosei's rankings? Like, let's say Gorosei Warcury, Venus Juro, obviously Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, right? Just, I think that's how most people look at the Gorosei, and Oda kind of spells it out for us with the order of the planets, right? Now, there's 5 Gorosei. Garling we don't count, he's new. But there's 5 Gorosei historically. And then if we look at the admirals, right? We've had 5 admirals, right? We have Akainu, Aokiji, Kizaru, Fujitora, and Green Bull. And I don't know if everyone agrees with this, but I think a lot of people might kind of roughly rank the admirals in this vein. Don't know if people agree, but I think most people have Akainu Aokiji at the top. I feel like people probably got Kizaru or Fujitora next, and then Green Bull. And so I just thought this was kind of funny, which is like, you look at him, I wonder if like, this might be me trying to, like, I don't know if the parallels are a little forced here, but like we got ice, you know, like, fire, ice, then we got, it's not light, but flight / energy, you know, it's like, Kizaru is kind of like the flying admiral, Mars is like the flying admiral, suction, gravity, and then Saturn and Green Bull, I don't know. Tentacles, vines. I don't know if this is very forced. This came to me like as a random thought I had at night one day. I was like, you know, Warcury and Akainu, it's like, I was like, that's kind of similar. Obviously very different full abilities, but I was like, yeah, the strongest admiral that we had, the strongest Gorosei that we had, you know, they're both the fire types. And I was like, you know what? It was because I was kind of thinking about like admirals versus Gorosei, and I was like, okay, like if it was Akainu versus Warcury, how does that go? And I was like, both fire powers. Then I was like, Venus Juro versus Aokiji, how does that go? And I was like, ice. And then I was like, well, next up, Mars versus Kizaru, and I was like, that would be like an aerial battle. Fujitora is fucking up Jupiter. I know that. I don't want to get into like the actual power scaling of like how they stack against one another or whatever. But it was just, I don't know, it's a fun thought. I was like, is this like a coincidence, or am I forcing a parallel here? Is it like 5 Gorosei, the 5 admirals with vaguely similar abilities? How do people feel about that? Is that a thing? Why does Warkiri have fire? I thought Warkiri was a fire. I thought he was a fire pig. Am I wrong? I thought he like created fire over the course of that battle, or was that just the egghead fire? Venus Juro is a swordsman. What are you saying? No, obviously they have different abilities, but I'm saying Venus Juro is an ice user as well. Like, I'm not saying they're 1-to-1 the same thing. I thought Warkiri was using fire throughout Egghead, like he was setting things on fire as he traveled through the island. Am I crazy? I feel like this is kind of interesting. I feel like the Mars thing, Mars Kizaru might be like a little forced, but I'm like, but they are the only it's not the same fighting style, but it's like, if I were to say which admiral is closest to which Gorosei in terms of abilities, I'd be like Venus Juro to Aokiji. I'd definitely say Warkiri to Akainu. Both brute force and fire attacks, right? Mars flies around and shoots energy blasts. Kizaru flies around and shoots energy blasts. Luffy burned his hand punching Warkiri. I thought Warkiri used fire, but I might be wrong. I remember him using fire. If he doesn't use fire, let's throw this whole thing away. But from what I recall, he was using fire. Let me see one thing. The One Piece wiki is obviously not like an actual source of anything, but it's fan made. But I'm curious what the One Piece wiki has him listed as using. Let's see. Okay, maybe Warkiri doesn't use fire. Never mind that. Never mind. From what I swear remembering in the manga that Warkiri was like on fire and use like and stuff like that. So if that's not the case, we can see what the anime's interpretation is. But if that's not the case, just ignore everything that I said here. Let's get that. Let's move that out of the way. Oh shit! Warkiri is the warrior god of justice too. Yeah, that's true. I'm pretty sure Warkiri covered himself in fire though. I think I thought that he didn't breathe fire or manifest it. Yeah, my bad then. My bad. Luffy was using red rock. His hand was already on fire. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Sorry, let's get into these predictions. Sheriff Laffy, thanks for the 2. Oh, wait. Emu reveals minor void sentry info. That is from Taptio Treviso. And Taptio, I think we've resolved. I think you're all good in terms of posting the Pirate King podcast. So, like, don't worry about that in the future, I think. I mean, it's fine if you want to check, like, ask me to check or whatever, but I think as long, like, it might have been the length of the post or something. Oh, also, for those of you guys who might be interested, Pirate King podcast coming out tomorrow. This podcast is interesting because it one of the questions prompted a long backstory of my middle school years, basically, if you guys are interested in that. So I don't know. I think this became that became like a 10-minute long answer for me in this Pirate King podcast. So if you're interested, again, check. If you're interested in checking that out, this one goes a little bit more personal. Sheriff Laffy, thanks for the 2. Prediction: Killingham conjures Sanji's nightmare. Ooh, is it gonna be like a powered up judge? That'd be crazy. That's a great prediction. Joggerroll, thanks for the 5. Prediction, Jinbei and Nami put out the fire in the library and the books are saved. I feel like, wasn't the library already saved this chapter? I feel like that was, I can't put that up, Anuj. If you want to give a different, you don't have to super again, just tell me a different prediction you might have. Julian Reed, thanks to 5. Morge, will you do a stream reacting to old Tuesday/theory vids? Your EH video about the elders being clear if the Yonko made me laugh the other day. Egghead video about the... Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I probably will not go through that. I will say this. All right, big announcement. We are shifting back to the old schedule. We're shifting back to the old schedule of Tuesday videos. I want to get the schedule pretty consistent, so one thing I've considered is even doing Monday videos and then shifting the streams to Tuesdays. So, for those of you who are familiar, we've shifted to Saturday videos and Monday streams, right? Saturday videos and Monday streams. Streams have always been Mondays, right? But we've shifted. Friday we're trying to do chapter review. Saturday we're doing the main video of the week. And then Mondays are the streams, right? And then Fridays are also... It's just too much, too cramped, and it's really becoming very difficult. Like, again, I told you guys at the start of the stream, I was up till 3:45 a.m. last night, and I'm going to have to be up again in the morning, reviewing, making changes to the video, sending it back to the editor, etc. It is too difficult. It's too difficult, and I think that the last few videos have been strong theories and strong videos, but it's much easier for me to keep up consistent quality if I'm getting more time to work. The editor gets more time to work. The turnaround's just too fast. So if people are fine, I'm going to go back to doing the Tuesday videos, which people liked before. If people want the videos a little faster, I'm considering, well, what if we did Monday videos, but then I'd want to move the streams to Tuesdays to give out some space. So that's the one thing I'm thinking about. 2 streams a week is always going to be the same. Wait for Tuesday's videos back. I used to pray. Oh, people like that. Tuesday videos are back. Yeah, all right, we're going back to Tuesday videos. It's just all too cramped. And, like, I don't want to emphasize speed over quality. Again, I think the last few videos were all strong videos, but it's just like I get guaranteed, like, I'm really killing myself to do that. Because initially when we made the change to try and do Saturday videos, I think the first few videos were rough. So then it was like, okay, I need to put in a lot of time, which turns into basically like from the time spoilers are out to like Friday morning, right? Like late morning, like 2 a.m., in this case 3 a.m. or whatever, almost 4 a.m. yesterday or this morning. Like I'm just typing and working, and then I have to send edits over to it's just too much. And actually, last week, if you guys remember, I was experiencing literal neck pain. I don't work in construction or anything hard, right? So I'm not trying to like make a big deal, okay? But, being hunched over a computer or a laptop for that many hours straight isn't good for you. So my logic was kind of like, okay, what if I just compress the work that I do over like a few days into all just like from one crazy long shift from like Thursday morning all the way through like Friday morning, like Friday early morning. And I was like, well, it's just like in my head, it was just like, well, it's just like one really bad like day of the week, I guess you could call it. And then it frees up more time in other days of the week. But things don't really work like that because like it's just not good to essentially work that much time extended. It's just not good for your body, not good for your mind. And then you experience some level of burnout. So, I didn't feel like I was getting to check the quality of the scripts and like go through everything as well as I would like and like polish things up. So we're going to go back to that. So, but if people like Monday streams, we'll stick to the Redline Blackbeard video is great. Yeah, I think the videos are strong. Personally, I think the videos are strong. Like, that's obviously I'm biased, but I think the videos are strong. I didn't like the I can't discuss this chapter because of Tuesday video. Unfortunately, that's going to come back a little bit. Morge, your last few videos are really great. You should start playing the One Piece TCG. So here's what I would say. So I think the last few videos, I do think they were strong videos because, in my opinion, they're really strong, exciting theories, right? But I think it'll be harder when a theory feels like it's got a lot going for it, and it's just like things just pour out easily from my head. So then it's doable to do it all between like Thursday morning to like Friday midday, or Friday mid early morning or whatever. But if it's like a deeper analysis type video, like I did recently for like Rocks and Herald, that's gonna be harder to do in that span of time because that just requires more thought, and like more phrasing, precision in my mind, like for what I think is a good video, you know. So that's stuff that I haven't really been able to do for a Saturday video yet. So yeah, I think I'm just going to try and get it out on Tuesdays, give it the time so that it's good quality. Yeah. How happy are you with the Season 2 analysis video for tomorrow? I think with the Season 2 analysis for tomorrow, I think that I really would have... How do I say this? I think that I could have done more to break down. Like, I think when I did Season 1, I was a little bit more impressed with some of the thematic things that it did and like the messaging changes that it did. Not that they were better than the source material, but that it was going for it. So I went into that a bit more. With the Season 2 review, it's closer to review than analysis. I do drop some analysis points in terms of like, hey, they went with a different angle for like the Luffy Laboon stuff, which I think was better, and here's the messaging and yada yada. But I do focus more on the review in terms of like, here's what was executed well, here's what I think wasn't executed well, stuff like that. So if you guys remember our Season 1 review, it was more like review plus like analysis, like treating it like I would treat a show that I have no prior context stuff. This one, I am doing more review than analysis, but I think it's still gonna cover pretty much everything that people want covered. I'll tell you guys, I'll give you a heads up right now. Like, it goes into overarching. It's going to be a pretty robust review. So I think time-wise, it'll be close to 30 minutes, give or take. And it gets into overarching plot, narrative structure, writing, cast, characters, scene direction, sets, everything. Direction for the future, comparing to Season 1, comparing to the source material, all of that. Yeah, so I'm going to go back to the Tuesday video format. The reason that we do... So here's the thing. The reason that we do Monday streams... Because the videos could come out on Mondays. Would people prefer Monday video releases or Tuesday video releases? If we do Monday video releases, then I want to move streams to Tuesdays. But the problem with then I want to do streams on Tuesdays. But the problem with doing streams on Tuesdays is that usually by Tuesdays, some spoilers are already leaking out. And that can really fuck with the streams, you know? And people are used to the Tuesday streams. People are probably used to the Monday streams. Ophelia Morge, get eye strain after work, blind at night. I'm not saying I got the hardest job by any means, right? By any means, whatever. This is like a self-inflicted thing that I'm trying to get it out by Saturday. But it's kind of just like... It's just like for the last several weeks, it's been the same cycle where by Friday morning, I'm still typing and then you got to record and you're tired recording and everything. And my mind's a haze and my neck hurts. I sound like I'm whining here. I understand. But it's a huge pain, right? Like working from morning till then. And then Friday I get very little rest, yada yada. But then by the weekend you've had, and I'm just like, this was terrible, I don't want to do this. But then the weekend goes by, and then the next week loops around, and then it's Monday, and it's like, memory for goldfish. It's kind of like, that really sucked doing that on Thursday. But now it's so many more days till the next Thursday. I'm like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So like, I kind of just forget how bad it was, but now it's happened enough times that I think I'm actually slowly developing like a slight neck strain. I don't want to do that. It's a stupid reason to do that. The channel worked perfectly fine before with the release schedule that we had. And the thing is that I haven't noticed a difference in viewership. So I think people are fine waiting till Tuesday for the most part, it seems like, versus Saturday, Tuesday stream might be better. Yeah, we could try Monday video and then Tuesday stream. But note, there's not going to be a Tuesday video this next week, okay? So it's post chapter 1177. So Saturday video comes out tomorrow, then 1177 comes out, and then from there on, we're hitting a Tuesday schedule. Tipti is asking, Morge, when do you plan to catch up to Chainsaw Man? I think so. It's one chapter away from ending. Is that right? Tipti says, I don't like waiting for Tuesday for streams. We can stick to the Monday stream schedule. One of the other reasons that we switched to Saturday videos, I'm remembering now, is that if a video came out Tuesday, right, it's partly because of the spoiler schedule, right? So let's say a video comes out Tuesday, and let's say the video is a theory, right? Let's say it's a theory video. So video drops Tuesday, it's a theory video. Sometimes one of two things would happen. The very next chapter is revealing something that, let's say, disproves the theory, or the very next chapter is essentially confirming that that's going to happen. Okay? That's not good, because for those type of instances, either way, the video's viewership dies. Because it's like a good chunk of readers are going to see the spoilers, and so they'll be like, okay, well, this doesn't happen. They're not watching this, or they're like, well, this happens this chapter, right? So it tightens up like my decision making a little bit in terms of like, I can think something's really exciting, but I'm like, this has to be something that isn't just like, so for example, like chapter 11 predictions, right? Everything that's going here, right? There'd be nothing that people could put here that, like think about it like this. If you're a YouTuber, any prediction that you came up for chapter 11 is something that you couldn't do if you are doing a Tuesday video. Does that make sense? Because it's like, it's one, like, it's dropping on Tuesday, the chapter's coming out in a few days. There's no point in like a video when the actual outcome is going to be revealed. So like, I always was focusing on doing videos that would be larger scale, things that'll be proven or disproven sometime down the line. But looking at all my recent theories, they fit that bill regardless. So it's not stuff that's like proven or disproven within a chapter. Anyway, spacing out streams is better. Yeah, okay, we'll do the Monday streams. Okay. Barking podcast comes out tomorrow. Yeah, I'm sorry about the delay for that, because it was recorded as of Wednesday. Really sorry about the delay for that. It was recorded Wednesday, editor had a delay, and it should have gone up this morning, so I'm sorry about that. Yeah, Chainsaw Man, is it almost over? I'll read Chainsaw Man, I think, when the final chapter comes out. Anime Dimension, thanks for the 20, man. And this is a two-parter. My prediction is that we either get Brook flashback or revelation that Brook was once part of Night Order. Maybe also had a shallow contract. That'd explain how he knows that Gunko is connected to the Holy Land. Holy shit, that'd be crazy. Part 2. It's possible that Brook joined them as a guard for Princess Shuri under orders of the king, as he is benefactor to Brook. So I'll piece this out a little bit. So I'll give you a couple. Brook flashback. Or revelation. I'll make it a little broad. That Brook was part of Night Order and maybe had a shallow contract. Brook may have joined as a guard for Princess Shuri under the orders of the king, his benefactor. Growth Stonks, thanks for the 5. Loki gets Dami reversed next chapter. Oh shit, if that happened next chapter, that'd be insane. Also, we need a Zoro killing Loki video. Zoro's arc has been set up since Dressrosa / Wano to forge his Black Blade by slaying a dragon. That'd be pretty insane. But I don't know if that's happening right here. Let's see. Loki gets Dami reversed. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 100 real quick. Let's get the stream likes up to 100. Chainsaw Man has 1 chapter left. Yeah, I'll catch up once that chapter comes out. Yeah, don't. Part 2 is mid. Yeah, part 2, I just didn't have... I think part 2 started off so strong. I think part 2's beginning is a lot stronger than Chainsaw Man part 1's beginning. It just takes its time, really good character writing, feels like it has really good direction. It goes off the rails for me to some degree, but then I thought it was pulling it together for the end. I don't know. Don't spoil, please, but I'm probably like a handful of chapters behind, so I'm curious to see where it goes. Y'all be hyping Zoro randomly. Let Zoro Masters conquer Saki first, then comes the Black Blade. Yeah, Zoro does need to... He needs to do some things first. He's probably a bit of a ways away. Chainsaw Man Part 2 is not nearly as good as Part 1. Part 1 is just really, really good. It's just like really, really good, really, really tightly planned out story. It's a shame because Fujimoto could have just like left out the loose ends, like not mentioned the 4 horsemen, not created the mystery around the truth around Pochita and stuff like that, and he didn't need to do a part 2 necessarily. We'll see. I'm not worried about part 2 because, again, I love part 1. I would love for part 2 to be as good as part 1. But in my opinion, Fire Punch is it was already Fujimoto's magnum opus. So I'm actually very curious to see what Fujimoto does. Like, here's my feeling. My feeling is that, so Fujimoto, like, if you track Fujimoto as an author, right? One, the guy's very young, right? Very, very young. So he's very young, so he's still, like, putting everything together. My feeling is that Fire Punch was Fujimoto in his true form, his true essence. Fire Punch is phenomenal. It's genuinely probably my second favorite manga after One Piece. So Fire Punch, amazing. All right? Easily one of the best manga I've read. Nothing like it. Fujimoto then gets approved, but Fire Punch is not very palatable to most people. It's very, very out there, let's say. Avant-garde, for being generous, right? Fujimoto gets approved for... Fujimoto wants, like, you know, you want to be successful. So he gets approved for a more mainstream concept, which is Chainsaw Man, which is him trying to take his usual writing style, but turn it into a shonen format, okay? So that's where the concept for Chainsaw Man comes about, all right? So Fujimoto does Chainsaw Man, and it's obviously turning out to be very successful. Not like Jujutsu Kaisen successful or whatever, but like it's a breakout hit. It's getting very popular. So why would you not keep it going? You know? So obviously you're gonna do Chainsaw Man Part 2. I think Chainsaw Man Part 1 was properly set up for Chainsaw Man Part 2. But my assumption is that as Chainsaw Man got popularity, like he always wanted to keep the door open for a continuation of it. And so he did enough to make it so that Part 1 functions as its own complete story, but there are things set up that would allow him to continue. So then you get Chainsaw Man Part 2, which he, I don't know if he initially planned on doing. Right? I don't know if he initially planned on doing, but was just like, I'm going to keep the door open for it and keep like some setup for the potential for that. Because, you know, you're going from like your true style of work, which is like Fire Punch, Goodbye Eri and stuff, to this more popular format, which is kind of shonenizing your style for like Chainsaw Man. It's doing really well. So of course you're going to want to ride that success and do and like continue it on to a Part 2. I think after Part 2, but that doesn't mean that he had the best idea saved or planned for Part 2, right? So I feel like after Part 2, Chainsaw Man's riding a high on popularity. He's going to get all of the sales and stuff for it. The movie, the anime, yada yada is doing really well. So I think from here, he can finally like exit the Chainsaw Man franchise and do whatever the next work he does is. I feel like that's going to be representative of everything kind of coming together, if that makes sense. Because he obviously still has, like, we already know the talent from Fire Punch, Chainsaw Man Part 1, etc. I would not be surprised if Part 2 was just like making sure he rides the wave of popularity that he created. You know, like, how many manga get that successful in the first 100 chapters? You don't want to end that just after one part. So I think this was him maybe riding out the wave. And then whatever the next series he does, I think is going to be where he now has the freedom to write whatever he wants and it's going to get published, but he's not going to have to tie the story as much into a box as he maybe did with Chainsaw Man. So maybe that's me being optimistic. Maybe the next thing we get revealed is Chainsaw Man Part 3. Who knows? I don't know. I read one chapter of Fire Punch and dropped it, but I'm now inclined to finish it. Fire Punch is a weird start. You got to stick with it. But I'd also say, like, it does get you really, really, like, drawn into the mystery very fast. Like, you don't have to get too many chapters in to really start getting sucked into Fire Punch, because the mysteries and the way that they develop are fascinating. Fujimoto said he didn't want to draw anymore? Oh, man. I guess that's just completely off base then. I was being optimistic in my predictions. Growth stonks. Thanks to the 5. Oh, we got that. We already got that. Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man, they're totally different. Like, they're like so absurdly different. Like they're actually opposite ends of the spectrum, but you could argue that they start from the same concept, which is like they're both a little darker shonen series that started, a little darker, and they both interestingly have a similar idea of like the negative emotions that people feel towards concepts are part of the world's power system. So I think that's a coincidental similarity with Jujutsu Kaisen, that being, you know, curses, cursed spirits, and then Chainsaw Man, that obviously being devils, specifically with Chainsaw Man, it's fears, etc. But then in terms of where both series go, it's completely different. Like Chainsaw Man is like heavily character focused, thematic, more abstract, just more focused on like artistry and going outside the box, yada yada, and it's not really interested in shonen tropes and stuff. It kind of just like pretends to be a traditional shonen just so it can get published in the magazine, but really it wants to go in its own directions, and it's a very different type of story, right? Jujutsu Kaisen, it's like the total opposite end of the spectrum, because it's like it's it's as shonen as it gets. It's like it's called sorcery fight, right? That's literally the name. It's just focused on fights. Like, that's its main thing. And it's got some, like, it's got fun stuff for the characters and stuff, and it's got a plot, obviously, and it's got themes and stuff, but it really just wants to get to its fights. That's what the story's about. It just wants to get to a lot of fights, a lot of action. That's the main thing. It's two totally different focuses, They just have a similar starting point. And whereas Chainsaw Man doesn't really follow typical shonen stuff, Jujutsu Kaisen, like, draws on. Part of the reason I think Jujutsu Kaisen, like, gets popular fast is because it really identifies what works for a lot of series, and it just, like, goes in on it, It's like, oh, people like heroes in like academy settings and stuff, like My Hero, or like Naruto with starting and everything like that. People like an exam arc or tournament arc early on. Like, okay, we're gonna do that. You want the cool sensei like Kakashi? Okay, we'll do that, but we'll make him like super Kakashi, right? It does a lot of those things really fast. Like, okay, people like the main character having like alter ego personalities, like Naruto's housing Kurama, Ichigo's got this hollow inside him, stuff like that. All right, we're doing that shit, Denji obviously has Pachita, but Pachita doesn't say jack shit for like the entire story. He's got like 10 lines. Like Jujutsu Kaisen basically identifies like what are the quick, like, even just like concepts like clans, it's like, all right, like Naruto popularized like, the idea of like the Uchiha clan, the Hyuga clan, the competing clans and stuff. So Jujutsu Kaisen's like, all right, there's 3 clans. Do we see these clans much? Well, you see the Zenin, you see one of them once, but just it does the world building very fast, and a lot of it is just like telling you that this stuff is a thing. It's like the 3 great clans. It's like, all right, special eyes, yada yada, So it just identifies the things that'll like set up a good shonen setting very fast, and then it uses that as the canvas to just do fight after fight after fight, and that works because it's fun. I'm gonna watch Jujutsu Kaisen's newest episode today. Season 3 was a rough watch towards the middle of Jujutsu Kaisen. I'd say it got a little like mild. I don't think people care, but beginning of season 3 was strong. Then there's this whole section before the culling games begins where like they're recruiting Hikari, that I think is generally terrible storytelling. Like it's as dull storytelling as you could possibly imagine. And then ever since they entered the culling games, and it's got like, I think the worst fight in Jujutsu Kaisen, and one of the worst fights in a series period that I've seen, which is the Kirara fight. Truly, truly terrible. Truly terrible. Very contrived setup, no stakes, no reason to actually care, and then add in an unreasonable amount of exposition, like a ludicrous amount of exposition for very limited and very uninteresting action that concludes with just like them catching up to be able to talk to them. I don't know. So that section sucks. But then ever since the culling games began, I've been loving it. I've been loving this setup. So, or like ever since the characters entered the culling games. I know that technically the culling games have already been going on. So I've been loving this setup. Season 3 has been a ball to watch so far. Dimian Wright, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 30 months. My Pirate King question. So we actually got yours. It's already in the podcast, so you're going to see it tomorrow. Because we got yours from before, and it's included this time. So I already answered there. I can answer it briefly here, but it's already answered there. So your Zelda question. Would I rather the next Zelda game be more traditional, like Breath of the Wild, or like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom? The new games are good, but don't feel Zelda. So I'll give the short version, which is, I'll give the short version. You can obviously listen to the podcast for the full version, but short version is just, I'm not as much on board with people who say like the new games don't feel like Zelda, because they do still feel like Zelda to me. That's the thing. They do still like they still feel like Zelda to me. They just feel like a big shift. But I would say short version is next game. I would like a hybrid or go back to the traditional style for one game, but don't abandon open world. Probably return to maybe alternate or something like that. I know Nintendo, once they find something that I think they found their new direction with the open world concept, but yeah, I'd say like next game, either make it a hybrid. Definitely don't do Hyrule again. I'd say that's the one thing. But I give a much more detailed response over there. The lore in Jujutsu Kaisen is cool though. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like once the characters enter the culling game, like right off the bat, the mild spoilers, I guess, Higuruma might have just become my favorite character in Jujutsu Kaisen. Here's the thing. I know the final arc. So in the final arc, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, why are they... I don't want to spoil things, how the final arc goes, but I was like, why is this guy... I can't spoil anything, right? But now that I understand Higuruma's character, I'm like, I think he's my favorite character in Jujutsu Kaisen. I think Higuruma is Jujutsu Kaisen's best character work, easily. I think it's the first time that Jujutsu Kaisen's done something like truly character focused in a way that is like, damn, that's something that I would think is good in like any series. Like you could drop that character and that backstory and the writing around it and his whole conflict with Yuji and drop it into any series, and I'd view it as like a great section in that series. It's rare that I think Jujutsu Kaisen does actually like really great character work like that. Like the closest thing I can think of is like they did that Nobara backstory. I think Nobara's backstory is terrible. I think it's terrible. It doesn't do that. There's very little coherence and congruence with, like, you can at a stretch argue why it adds to her story and the themes, etc. But it's genuinely terrible. It's not a compelling story. It feels almost like a waste of time. Higuruma's is not like Higuruma's is great. I love Higuruma's backstory, the character, the like there's and the anime knocks it out of the park in terms of how it presents everything. I want more of this character, and I went back and reread certain parts of the final arc with knowing what I know now. Yeah. Bro skipped the culling games earlier. What happened when I was reading Jujutsu Kaisen? So I was reading Jujutsu Kaisen as it was I was catching up to Jujutsu Kaisen as it was wrapping up the Shibuya incident. So I caught up, I think literally, I caught up literally as the chapter that ends season 2 came out. So I caught up at the perfect time. Okay? So I caught up then. And I just binged this whole thing. And then, the arc ends. And then I usually do this, right? I'm going to do this with Kagurabachi as well. I am going to let it build up weekly. Same like I do with Chainsaw Man. I think One Piece has... There's only been 2 series, I think, that historically I would always no, that's not true. When I was young, there was a point where this is when I was young. When I was young, there was a point where I had my big 5 series that I would read every week, and this was in high school. One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto, Fairy Tail, and History's Strongest Disciple, Kenichi. Those were my big 5. I don't know what everybody else's like big 3, big 4, etc. were, but those were my big 5. Those were the series that I would read every week. Fairy Tail and Kenichi came out on the same day. One Piece, Bleach, Naruto came out on the same day. The Fairy Tail Kenichi Day was my less favored day. And then the Big 3 Day was obviously, that's awesome, right? But generally speaking, in recent years, even if I'm really liking a series, I will usually allow chapters to build up after a big arc ends, and then I will binge the next section of chapters and do that, right? So with Jujutsu Kaisen, I caught up and a Shibuya incident, right? Then the next arc starts to begin, but I can tell that it's going to be, there's like a lot of steps and setup that's going to have to happen. So I take my little break, and once I've taken my break for Jujutsu Kaisen, from what I recall, I wasn't hearing good things online about the Culling Games arc as the Culling Games arc progressed. So because I wasn't hearing a ton of good things, and people were saying it's not as good as the Shibuya incident, I was kind of going to wait for the whole thing to end. And Jujutsu Kaisen fell off my radar a little bit. And I almost reached a point where I was like, I'm just going to let the whole manga end before I decide to catch up or not. Okay? But then something happened. So I don't want to spoil, but a certain fight begins later on in the story, in the final arc. A certain fight begins. And this fight generates a lot of buzz online, to the point that I'm just like, well, I just want to peek. That was the thing. I didn't even want to I wasn't like, okay, I'm now going to binge 100-something chapters to catch up to read this fight. I was like, damn, that fight's happening. Okay, let me just peek. I just want to take a peek. So I would start tuning in every week or so, just taking a peek at what's going on. I wouldn't even do this every week, but as that fight progressed, I essentially became a weekly reader of the fight as well. Yeah, and then after that, I was like, oh shit, the whole thing. I essentially skipped the entire Culling Games arc, read this certain fight, and yeah. Then after that, at some point or the other, I was just like, let me just read out. I heard that people. I just read out the rest of the overall final arc, basically. And I decided not to. I was going to read the Culling Games as well after that, but I was like, I've spoiled this whole arc for myself. Let me go ahead, because the way the anime does, I think the anime is better for Jujutsu Kaisen than the manga, right? I just think the anime is better. I think it's one of the best anime adaptations that we have. So I was just like, let me not spoil myself on the Culling Games. That's the one section of the story. I know where things go down the line, obviously, because I've read the final act of the story. But let me go into this blind at the very least, or close to blind. So I'm getting to enjoy the Culling Games without really knowing what happens next. I do know some things, though. I do know a lot of specific things. So not everything's a surprise, but I knew about the character Higuruma. And I knew the gist of what he's about, and I even knew the fight that he has, but I didn't know the details, and I was pleasantly surprised at how much I loved it. Andrew Anami says, I'd kill for more to read Gosh Bell. It's my favorite manga of all time. I know Brago's a big fan of Gosh Bell. And it used to come up, I thought it was called Zatch Bell, because it used to come up on Cartoon Network Toonami and stuff, and I thought it looked cool. It's got lightning powers and stuff. I don't know. Newport's Poppy, thanks for being a Supernova member for 5 months. Somers clashes with Zoro and notices his advanced Conqueror's Haki. Somers clashes with Zoro and notices his... Oh, that could be cool. Yeah, let me put that down. All right, everybody. I'm going to stream 5 more minutes, and then I think we're going to have to call it. I'm sorry that I pulled up the predictions so late. Also, let me shout out again. So we've got, if you want the hoodie, if you want this hoodie that I'm wearing, if you want this hoodie, the ice hoodie, or the magma hoodie, we are doing another giveaway. The winner will be selected at the end of this month of March. So it'll be selected from all Instagram followers. So if you wanted one of the hoodies, but you couldn't get them, then just head over to Instagram. The link is pinned at the top of this chat. The link is pinned at the top of this chat. Just head over to Instagram and get yourself, or just, not get yourself. Just go to the Instagram, give us a follow, and you're automatically entered into the giveaway, and you have a chance to win the hoodie at the end of the month. What is that creepy ambient sound? The wind? Can you guys hear that? So it's music, I believe, playing from, like, there's a park nearby. If that's what you guys are referring to. Oh, my prediction is Sanji and Usopp will fight killing him. I got you, Abrahamid. Yeah. All right. I thought Mord was haunted. Why did I start so late? Oh, you spent like 6 minutes on like a tangent from one question. It gets obvious on why the stream topics get delayed. Hey, look, that's what you guys love about the streams. That's just the way it is. It wouldn't be a Mord stream if it wasn't like that. Um, yeah. No, sounds like a buzzing mist sound. That's not good. I actually don't know what that would be then. A buzzing mist sound. Fuck, maybe there's an issue with the mic. Let me take a look. Hold on. 1 second. 1 second. Hold on. Hold on. 1 second, guys. All right. Yeah, I don't know what you guys are referring to with the buzzing mist sound. Maybe it's an issue with the mic, but I don't know. I hope it didn't seep into the chapter review. Ender says, I don't want a Mord stream that gets straight to the topic. I agree. Thanks, Ender. Anime Dimension, thanks for the 10. My message is included in Parking Podcast. I have it. My message is included in Parking Podcast. I have posted it around 6 a.m. EST on Wednesday morning. And also have ordered a hoodie on March 7th. How long will it take to deliver? Hoodie should be delivering this month. Parking Podcast. Let me check. Commented around 6 a.m. EST. Let's see. Wait, hold on. Actually, I've got the document right here. Anime Dimension, we got you. Your comment was, it was a lot of observations. Yeah, we got you. Thank you for the support, man. Appreciate it. Sounds like hush, TV static, or a fan in the distance. What are you talking about? So there's an issue with the mic right now. Hello. Oh, wait. Things are... Testing 1 2 3. Okay, so I fixed that. I changed mics, my bad. More, do you have to go for another 30? I'm rolling up. I'm going to smoke tonight, that's for sure. Because I worked really late. I've mentioned like 5 times this stream. Like, I was up till like 3:45. All right, everybody. We are going to call a stream here. Watch out for tomorrow for the One Piece live action review. Yeah, just watch out for that. And, and then we're going to be shifting. So this will be the last Saturday video. No Tuesday video next week, but after chapter 1177, we'll be switching back to Tuesday videos, okay? And then lastly, if you want the chance to win the hoodie, either the ice hoodie, magma hoodie, or light hoodie, you can pick from any three of those. Just head to the Instagram, give us a follow, and then you're automatically entered into the giveaway. And that winner will be announced at the end of the month. So yeah, with that, I will talk to you all later.